Put the mop down and entertain us, will you? The live studio audience burst into awkward laughter as the host, Troy Wallace, gestured toward the quiet black janitor on stage. Brandon froze under the spotlight, mop still in hand. His uniform looked out of place amid the glossy set of the Challenge Zone, America's highest-rated live competition show. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Troy sneered. Ladies and gentlemen, meet today's surprise contestant, straight from maintenance. The camera zoomed in on Brandon's calm but unreadable face. A woman in the front row giggled. A man shouted, "Let's see what the help can do." Brandon didn't speak. His eyes drifted across the stage lights, to the boxing gloves hanging in the background as props. He exhaled slowly. One hand loosened around the mop handle. But when the producer whispered in his earpiece, Brandon turned slightly, just enough to hear one chilling word. This was his idea. Brandon stood center stage now, eyes narrowed slightly. Behind the cameras, Assistant Director Emily Chin clenched her fists. She hadn't approved this twist. She knew what Troy was doing, and it wasn't entertainment. I've never seen someone clean with so much dignity, Troy quipped. Maybe he thinks he's on the wrong set. This ain't no janitor convention. Laughter rippled again. Brandon's shoulders didn't move. His lips stayed closed. But his fingers twitched, barely. He didn't blink. He didn't flinch. Troy walked a slow circle around him, mic in hand. Let's give him a fair chance, huh? 3 rounds of dodge and strike. Unless, you're too fragile for live TV. Brandon finally spoke, voice low. I'm not here for jokes. That silence hit harder than a punch. No one laughed. Emily looked toward the control booth. Cut this, she whispered. But it was too late. Troy stepped into the ring spotlight and tossed Brandon a pair of gloves. Let's see what the mop man's got. Brandon caught the gloves midair without looking. The audience hushed. Something shifted. His back straightened, not forced, but like memory reclaiming muscle. Troy bounced on his heels. You know the rules. No crying, no backing down. Oh, and try not to embarrass yourself. Brandon slipped one glove on. Then the other. He walked to the ring's edge, placed the mop carefully against the wall. And touched the glove to the old scar on his jaw. Emily gasped. That scar. It couldn't be. On the overhead screen, someone from the tech team zoomed in. The crowd saw it too. Then came the whisper. The gasp. The name. Is that Brandon Lewis? From the '96 Olympic team. The silent southpaw. He disappeared after that accident. Troy heard it too. His eyes widened. He turned back. Too late. Brandon stood in the center of the ring now. Calm. Still. A man whose silence had once broken champions. Troy hesitated, microphone drooping. This wasn't part of the bit, he stammered. You're not supposed to. Brandon raised one gloved fist, not as a threat, but like a mirror. You put me here, he said quietly. Let's finish it. Emily burst into the frame, headset dangling. Stop the feed. Now. But the studio was already frozen. The audience didn't cheer. They waited. Watched. Witnessed. Troy lunged forward, more from pride than strategy. His fist sliced through empty air. Brandon pivoted once, one step, one slip. No counterpunch. Just mastery. It wasn't a fight. It was a lesson. And Troy looked like a student way out of his class. After a minute of failed swings and lost breath, Troy dropped to one knee. Not from injury. From exhaustion. From being seen. Brandon stepped back. Not a word. Not a boast. He simply untied the gloves and dropped them by the mop. As Brandon turned to leave, Troy called after him, voice thin, breaking. "Why didn't you hit me?" Brandon paused at the edge of the stage. "Because that's not what strength is." He looked to Emily, then the cameras. "Real strength is knowing when not to repeat what broke you." A long silence followed. No one spoke. But everyone understood. The broadcast cut early. Social media exploded. Headlines the next morning read: Live humiliation backfires, Janitor was Olympic boxing legend. Brandon didn't return the next day. But his mop stayed leaning by the gloves. And a note pinned to the handle read: Never underestimate the quiet ones. Sometimes, the loudest statement is made in silence. Brandon didn't raise his fists, but he raised the bar for what it means to stand with dignity. In a world quick to judge by uniforms or skin, this story reminds us to look deeper. If this touched you, share it with someone who needs to be reminded of the quiet power within. Subscribe to hear more voices that matter.